AEW Elite General Manager is launching tomorrow on iOS and Android, but if you were in the beta, you can play it right now. What's good, Internet? My name is AttackSlug. Let's see what is going to be in the launch version of this game on phones tomorrow. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on what I think the game should be, because I did that in my beta impressions video. But let's talk about what the game is, what is in here. Is it fun? Is it worth playing? Is it worth your time? Because it is a free-to-play mobile game, which means that, yes, up front there is no money, but there definitely are ways to spend money with any free-to-play mobile game. Let's look at that first and foremost. The briefcase full of cash here down in the bottom in the store. Yes, you can spend real money on tickets, and those tickets can be used to get the loot packs, the supply packs, the gimmick packs, etc., etc. And my thoughts and feelings on loot boxes are generally very well established on this show, but there is a good way to do them, and that is generally using them for cosmetics only, because that does not affect your main gameplay loop, and that to me is usually fine. So after about an hour and a half-ish, I have 240 of the tickets. So let's use those to get a standard supply pack. Purchase success. Open the pack. What did we get? We got a thinking emote. So again, if it's just general cosmetics, that's really not an issue on my end. Also, the gimmick. I have a couple of these to spend, so let's get that. And now the gimmicks are gameplay influencing. There is a gameplay component to unlocking the gimmick. I'm not sure how much it actually affects the game in multiplayer, but personally I'm not a big fan of online multiplayer. So you can see here there are two currencies. There's the cash and the tickets. And I have some of each here, and you can look at what's in the store in terms of the gimmicks, the emotes, the finishers, and the flare. And what that is, where that actually comes into play, is when you're playing in multiplayer and you're going up against another player, you have an avatar, you have a finisher, you have emotes. So again, that's not a gameplay dependent thing. It is a flashy kind of, hey, look at me, I spent money thing. It's not a big deal. So currently I have a backwards hat on Darby because it's funny. But otherwise, you can get all these different finishers here. And again, this is only additional things cosmetically when you're playing the game against someone else on the internet. So if you don't care about that, then all this stuff you can pretty much ignore. It's not that big of a deal. And now having that kendo stick, let's put that in my gimmick loadout and replace the barbed wire broom. This gives 20 speed, 20 strength, and 20 endurance for 1 week. So good stat bonuses there. You can see there are plenty more I have not unlocked just yet. Much like other mobile games, you have your daily, weekly, etc. bonuses to collect as you log in and complete different tasks. Now personally, I feel like this user interface is not quite as polished as other phone games I've played over the years are, and that kind of needs a bit of work here. It's a little bit rough around the edges, but again, they're launching tomorrow and they have time to improve. It is a phone game after all. But let's get to the actual core gameplay modes here. Obviously online, it's out tomorrow, so I'm not going to find a game today, most likely. We have gifts here from doing things, but also we have your campaign. Now the career is an extended tutorial. You finish it in like 20 minutes-ish. It's not much of anything. The challenges are kind of the bulk of a lot of the single-player gameplay here, and actually teach you more of what you should be doing and how to play the game, but occasionally can be a little bit confusing in how they word their language, which again, they can fix that down the line. So right here, it says, Challenge 5, make Brandon Cutler the AEW World Champion. And on each challenge, if you hit the More button here, it says, get his popularity to 100 by week 5, but also achieve 2 million fans by week 5. And I'm like, that's not him being the champion. That is two different things there. You're either the champion or you have popularity. Like, it's not the same thing, which is weird. But that one I've failed. But thankfully, I can go to number 6 here, which is being the underdog, right? This is win at least 2 categories. I played this once, and I thought I won 2 categories, and I still failed. Let's do it here on camera and see if I can manage to actually complete this task. So, you start here with 200 grand, and honestly, this screen here is going to look a lot like what it looks like when you're playing online against an opponent. You'll see your stuff in blue, and the opponent's stuff in red. So, they have more of a budget, they have more fans, and they have the same fist going up, which I think is your morale. So keep in mind, when you book matches, matches cost money to produce. So don't spend all your money on just your roster. And in this one, there are 3 matches to book. So let's hire 6 wrestlers here. Under where the blade is, I can spend 4 grand to refresh this selection of superstars. And now, we can get cheap here and pick up Alex Reynolds, pick up Austin Gunn, we can get Evil Uno, we can get Kip Sabian, and we can get, I guess, Wardlow, and Johnny Hungy. So I've now signed 6 wrestlers to my roster, and can now book 6 matches. So all this stuff here is very similar to what it was in the beta. Thankfully, they added a 3-way. Thank you. But most of the stuff is very, very similar. Personally, I add all the match types first on my 3 matches here. So just take the match type and drag it. And then I always book my main event first. So we're going to have Wardlow going up against John Silver in our main event. And then beyond that, we'll put Evil Uno in here and have him fight Alex Reynolds. Dark Order. Falling apart. And then opening the contest will be Austin Gunn versus Kip Sabian. So those are your matches there for that. We have our gimmicks. And I did get the kendo stick. So that is a 20, 20, and 20. And so I will give the kendo stick to John Silver for hopefully an advantage against Wardlow. So that was 30 grand. Just booking those 3 matches. Obviously, the bigger the match, the more money it's going to cost you. And then you have set up your segments, and these will cost you either fans or money. And I have the 50 grand, and I want the backstage pull-apart brawl to increase 50% on my rating here. So my star rating. So we'll do that for the main event. And then ding, 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 gloom. Week 1. Let's go. Now, you can sit here and watch these animations, right? And they're fine. They get the job done. They're not particularly that engaging, really, but hey, it shows you, hey, here's who won, and that's fine. Once you get into the actual playing the game a lot, you're going to be hitting the button here and saying, you know what, skip the whole show, because it's just faster to get to the actual numbers here, and the numbers are what you want to see. So, there it is, the kendo stick to Wardlow. Can Johnny Hungy beat Wardlow? He cannot. Sorry, Wardlow reigns supreme. And then you get your overall goal here, and it is a 2-star for the week. The money, the fans, and the morale. Those are the 3 things. Well, here in week 1, we have 1 out of 3. We have a 45 morale versus their 14. So, we continue. And that show made some money, but not really enough to really book that many more talent on this roster. So, we'll kind of run a very similar show here, because we still don't have that money to really get that show booked properly. So Wardlow and Evil Uno. And then we will have John Silver and Austin Gunn. And then we'll have Alex Reynolds go 1-on-1 with Kip Sabian in your opening contest. And we'll give Kip the table here. And the table is a match pot for 1 match, but minus on the stamina for that matchup. And our segment, on stage promo. And I can slot in the promo and give that to Wardlow on that. Now, one thing that I wish this game had is the fact that if a wrestler is damaged, I would prefer to book a interview thing outside of a match, right? So don't take any damage from the match, being just in an interview, but that you can't do, at least not in the game as it stands right now. So, ready up, hit review. Ready up, hit review, and there we go. Now I gotta sit here again. Yep, skip show. What is our negative fans, and negative fans? The folks don't want to watch my show. We are now in week 3. Again, our money here is not great, but if I were to hire, say, Miro at 20 grand, and then I can say, all right, main event will be a triple threat. That costs an extra $5,000 to book that main event. But it means more star power with Miro, Wardlow, and Kip Sabian. Because I'm already behind on the fans, let's spend more of those. I'm not going to win on that right now for this table here, right? And that one will go into our main event. And then we'll do that. Ding, 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 gloom. Skip the show. Skip the show. And then get my results on that. Again, a 3-star show, which brings us higher in money, way higher in morale. We are losing very badly on the actual ratings war. And it's week 4. This time I am very clear on why I lost this particular deal, but occasionally it is not as clear as you might hope it would be. And we'll get the original Death Dealer, Luther. Because again, why not? So we have 9 on the roster here. So I can book a tag team main event. I can book a 3-way and a 1-on-1. So that being said, let's book our tag team main event. The tag team of Evil Uno and John Silver go up against Wardlow and Miro. Big, beefy men in that tag match. We will have Alex Reynolds going with Austin Gunn and Eddie Kingston. Come on, Eddie, there you go. And our 1-on-1 opening contest is Kip Sabian and Luther. Now, you can have guys work double duty, right? That makes them more likely to get injured, but if you have a top star that you spend all your money on, then yes, work them to the bone, because again, you're only working 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and injury at that point is not really an issue. And so the final week 4 of this show here, we'll obviously skip it and see what our results are as we lose. So this is how it looks if you're actually playing it online with the opponent on the internet and their little character. And that happens, and I get a fear factor here from Penta. 1, 2, 3. He knocked me out. He took me down. So I feel like the challenge mode here is actually really cool. Like, there are 60 of these, right? And because there are so many of them, and they're actually challenging, that's going to be a lot of gameplay for someone to play in single player with spending $0. So kudos, thumbs up on that. Elsewhere, they did make more additions into the endless mode. So personally, I still want to see this being up against an opponent. And right now it's just you playing by yourself. But they added the fact that when you hire somebody, they have a limited number of weeks on their contract. So you sign them. First of all, you start with like almost no money, because obviously building a wrestling business here is complicated. And so if you run out of money, that's game over. And they've made it a hard enough thing where that's the challenge, is last as long as you can in this endless mode. Also, they added feuds for this mode, so you can kind of increase your show stats with a feud. Now, my current roster here of 6 superstars is Miro, Penta, Evil Uno, Griff, Ali, and Marco Stunt. So I had one other girl, and her contract expired. So we gotta hire one more of the ladies. So we will pick up, let's see here, who is gonna be the cheapest to pick up here with a short-term contract, considering that I only have $136,000 in the bank. Thankfully, you can sort between the different divisions here in AEW. Emi Sakura is $30K for 12 weeks. That's a pretty good deal there. So I think that's going to be my... I'm sorry, super bad Miss Ford here. So we'll sign her to 8 weeks and then head over into my booking and book some matches. So now you can see here we have a full 6 matches. Now, what they don't tell you is that you don't have to book 6 matches. You can book for as many as you have on the roster, and yes, that will somewhat penalize you, but not enough to give you a game over on that, thankfully. So we will book 3 matches. Main event will be a 3-way, and then a 1-on-1 and a 1-on-1. So in that main event, it's going to be Miro versus Uno versus Penta. So winner is unclear on that one. Let's give Miro the forklift. And the forklift, by the way, does a pop for one match, but stamina goes down 20 for all in that one match. Now, in our one-on-one contest, we'll have Allie versus Mrs. Superbad here. So, do that match there. And then in our opening contest, it'll be Marco Stunt versus Griff Garrison, who is now officially all elite. Those first three, like, I don't have the roster, right? And it costs money to obviously book matches, and it costs money to have a segment, but you also don't have to book a segment. I'm gonna book one here, and I will say, give me that backstage pull apart for 50 grand and put it in the second match of the card. Now, this also gives you the emotes, and I'm not sure what that really, like, it doesn't matter here in single player, like, it's pointless, but it's here. Now, I currently don't have a feud going on, so I can add a feud, and those have different variables. Best of the best, grudge, who's nicer, and disrespect, and they have their own different variables there. And once you book a feud, let's say based on disrespect between Allie and Penelope here, so those two get booked in that feud. You can decide how many weeks, and those will obviously cost you more money. So we're going to do a 2-week feud between these two. So when they're on the card, it will say feud active, right? We've booked that feud. It hopefully helps improve the show in some way. So that being done, let's head over here into Ready Up, and then Ready Up, and then we'll hit our show, skip our show, and get our results. You see there, down, down, down on those first three, and then things increase beyond that. But still a 3-star show, increased the money, increased the fans, and decreased my morale. So, can't win them all. But that was that week, and it just goes on forever there, right? So, you can see now I have a roster of 5. Marco and Griff had their contracts expire. So, you're constantly refreshing your talent on that and trying to maintain a roster and go upwards and not downwards. So, they made some improvements here versus what was in the beta, but it's still not really what I would want for a GM mode in a video game. But I can now leave and back out. It'll save. So that's kind of what's in here on day 1, outside of, hey, there's also an online thing, which is, hey, go against an online opponent for 4 weeks, and who books the best show over those 4 weeks. And that's fine. It's not something I'm into, but it's there. But that right now is AEW on iOS and Android, out tomorrow. I'm AttackSlug. Thanks for watching. More videos right here. I'll see you next time, and I'm out.